Trust isn't created overnight, but you do need a certain amount of trust in order to convince someone to use your business. Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Jack.
I started Commusoft back in 2006 with the intention of transforming the way field service companies manage their businesses.
And over the last 3 years, I've been speaking with hundreds of companies, learning all about their current struggles and their goals for the future.
In today's episode of Success in the Field, we're going to be talking about trust, its impact on customer buying choices, and how you can use it as a strategy to win more jobs. When I was told we're doing an episode on trust, the first thing I thought was that you can have a customer that trusts you but isn't loyal, but every loyal customer will always trust you. And I think it's important to understand the difference between trust, loyalty, and convenience. Customers are constantly analyzing your business, probably more subconsciously, but they're always markers as a business owner that you can use to help build more trust with customers.
Wow, nice opening. When I was told we were doing an episode on trust, the first thing I thought of was Cowboy Builders. We all remember that show on TV, right? Ages ago, where the members of the public would have some dodgy work done, sometimes really bad, by these builders. And the next thing you know, you got Dominic Littlewood running down the road chasing after them, who, for those of you that don't know him, the People's Sheriff of the UK, trying to expose them. Now, where I was going with this thought was, I can imagine this show didn't do wonders for the 99.9% of tradespeople across the UK who are actually really trustworthy.
There's never a TV program about trustworthy builders, is there? You know, tradespeople have done a fantastic job at a reasonable price. And I think it's interesting how the media has completely influenced the way we perceive tradespeople and the trust we have for them. And I think businesses have been working probably for many years to try and rebuild that trust with their customers. For me, there's two types of trust. The trust you have with a company, and that trust really is that perceived trust. You know, you're working with a big company or they've got a really lovely website, and then there's actual trust, you know, the second type, which is where you've had a really good experience with someone, they've done some really quality work. And I think that trust really is the trust that creates repeat business.
Okay, so what we're saying here then is that there's essentially two aspects of trust. You've got trust before they know your company, and then trust once you've established a really great working relationship.
Yeah.
Based off this then, how would you go about building a trustworthy company? Where do you start?
There are different ways really to build trust, each with all their challenges. Before you know someone, you're building trust really without any contact. So you're looking at recommendations online, you're looking at their website, you're asking for recommendations and how much do you trust the person that you've asked for that recommendation from. And you're looking at social media, and all of these things plays a part in how someone perceives your business. You know, when was the last time you came across a dodgy looking website? You know, it may have been that that website was run by a lovely family business, but ultimately you chose not to buy from them. You know, and that family business may not really have understood what the impact, you know, their website and the design of their website was having on their customers.
Yeah, the amount of times I've ended up on some sketchy website, either trying to buy some cheap flights or trying to buy a cheap version of the video game I don't want to spend £50 on. But realistically, I wouldn't put my card details anywhere near them because of the amount of horror stories you hear in the news and online about these websites not really working the way they should. It's surprising there are still so many of these websites, though, that look like they were built in the 90s, given the wide array of tools that are out there at the moment.
There's so many great online tools for building websites. Wix and Squarespace are just a few that I've come across that let you build pretty beautiful websites in minutes, sort of perfect for tradespeople that are just starting out. They're modern platforms that let you build with current design patterns that customers will recognize. A few important pages that I think you should definitely focus on are things like the Meet the Team page and case studies of work that you've already completed. All of this comes together in your customer's mind to help them decide whether they want to work with you.
Yeah, definitely agree about websites being important. Another aspect that we speak about a lot here at Commusoft is reviews, right?
Yeah, online reviews have really exploded over the last few years. Checkertrade, Which, Trustmark, Trustpilot, Reviews.co.uk, just to name a few. They've all have their benefits and are definitely important when it comes to people judging you online, especially when you're being compared to a list of your competitors. The company with the most reviews wins. The problem with reviews, though, is that there are so many of them. We all have them. You're competing with a 4.6 to another company with a 4.3. They just blend together. As a consumer, I expect you to have good online reviews. So you may not win any trust points with me by having them, but you definitely lose points if you've got no reviews or you've got negative reviews.
I guess one way you could start to stand out, though, is by replying to them. Not everyone does, whether they're good or bad. It shows you're in the conversation and that you care about each review that you get.
It's tricky, though, because when I look at review sites, I always scroll down to that one negative one. So I think as a company, if you are replying to these reviews, it does give the customer context as to maybe what has happened. So definitely you should be replying to them.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned that they can all start blending into one, reviews, because we've all got them. How can you then stand out as a trustworthy company and win more jobs?
I definitely keep trying to win online reviews. That's not going to go away. And once you've got suitable number of reviews on a single platform, try diversifying. If you're using Google Business, try checking out Checkertrade or whichever review site you think works for your business. But I wouldn't consider necessarily reviews as the best, most modern strategy for building trust. If everyone has reviews, as we said, no one is standing out from the crowd. I've seen an amazing company recently who've invested in video content on social media. So what they do is they send out one of their team members to do videos of themselves and their colleagues actually doing the jobs. It promotes quality work and it puts a name to a face, ultimately creating a level of transparency that builds trust with their customers.
So once you've won that customer using your great online reviews and engaging social content, how does trust now play a part in creating a repeat customer, a customer that keeps coming back?
Yeah, I think once you're in contact with a customer, it's all about actions. It's all about what you're doing with them. So doing a good job doesn't necessarily build trust, but doing lots of good jobs consistently definitely will do. And showing that you're an industry expert, showing you have your stuff, ultimately is going to build trust with your customers, whether it's online, via content and via video content, all the stuff we've been talking about, or just in person when you're there in front of the customer. And then when something goes wrong, how do you treat the customer? We keep bringing up Amazon in all of these videos, I think, because, we've had such good experiences with them. And I think in this case, they're no different. I trust that if I've got a problem with a product or something that I bought from them, that I'm going to be able to send it back, I'm going to be able to get support from them, and they're going to respond. So again, that creates trust, from me to Amazon, and I think that's important.
So we've spoken a lot about the online ways that you can build trust using reviews, websites, and social media. Thinking now more offline about the engineers now, what can they do to help build trust and win more jobs?
Yeah, engineers play a major role in building trust with customers. At the end of the day, they're the face to your business and they're brand ambassadors. So, for example, instead of arriving and just completing the job and leaving, they can engage with the customer. They can help them out with useful information about, the issue that the customer is facing or the appliance in their home, and actually provide some value to that customer that they wouldn't have otherwise got. I'll give you an example. I had an engineer around recently in my flat because a year ago he fitted a shower that was now leaking, so he was back to try and fix it. Now, while he was there, I asked him some questions around a heat recovery system that he also installed a year ago. And instead of just sort of waving it off and saying, that's nothing to do with me, he actually took the time to sit down, talk to me about the system, give me some tips, show me how to clean it properly, show me how to make the most of it. That showed me that he had, serious industry knowledge. He knew what he was talking about, and ultimately he was an expert in his field. All of this builds confidence and trust in that business.
So that's some ways they can behave in a trustworthy manner. But what about their appearance? Surely things like uniform and tidiness have an impact on trust as well.
I don't necessarily think uniform actually builds trust. I think we've all come to expect, that businesses, are in branded, clean uniforms. So I don't necessarily think that actually adds to the way we trust these people. But I do think if you turn up in dirty jeans and a dirty T-shirt, you're definitely going to lose trust points. It's definitely going to make me think twice. Again, I'll give you another example. The same shower leak, the managing agent had sent around a builder to inspect and quote for a new floor because the leak had damaged the floor in the flat. And a chap turned up in dirty trousers and dirty overalls. And it immediately made me think, like, wow, are you going to be able to do this? Are you going to have the quality of work here? Do you know what you're talking about? Or is this going to be a disaster? So I think definitely it's important to look professional, because whilst it doesn't build trust, it definitely will make your customers think twice.
Having said that, I'm pretty sure everyone watching this video is super likely to have suitable workwear, whether it's just black trousers or a polo shirt or a full branded uniform, like you said earlier. I guess the takeaway here, though, is presentation. Customers expect clean vans and professional uniform. Whilst it doesn't necessarily build trust, not doing it will 100% harm it. People are still very quick to judge appearance, even in these modern forward-thinking times. So today we've spoken about how companies can build trust and win more jobs. One takeaway, I guess, from my end is that there are certain things that you do that won't necessarily build trust, but not doing them will certainly cause your customers to think twice. What are some of the main takeaways from your end, Jason?
Yeah, we talked about trust both before you work with the customer and after. So I think you should be doing an audit of your website and your online reviews. That's first of all. And if you do get negative reviews, don't worry, we've got you covered. There's a great article I'll link in the post below about actually replying to those negative reviews and what you can say. Don't just rely on reviews, though. Think outside the box. Look at how social media, look at how video can impact the way your customers trust you and that perceived trust before they work with you. Finally, it's the personal touches that build trust. Empower your engineers to go that extra mile, and you'll reap the rewards later.
As always, feel free to share this video with your network. You can find us on social media. Just search for Commusoft. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.